So this gets a little bit harder and harder each time. The next one I'm going to show you is the dove. So again, we're going to import the dove just like we imported the other finger. So I'm going to import the dove as a footage. Import. If I double click on it, that's what the dove looks like. I'm going to go back to my timeline. Um, Once you've done, you can put all of them. Actually, you should put all of them in the same timeline. Once you're done with the finger, we don't need to see it anymore. So you can um, split the layer and delete that split layer so that it just, goes away. You can also, if you don't want to split the layer all the way, you can take the opacity, remember, and just keyframe the opacity like a 10 frame fade out or something. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and just have it fade out. Um, and then I can split the rest of this layer and delete it because I really don't need it. After that fades out, what I'm going to do is start off moving my time area because I'm done with this. My work area, I should say, because I'm done with this part, and now I'm going to move on to this part. So I want to insert the dove clip art at this point in my timeline, so it appears later, a little bit later. Maybe not too late, like starting at about 7 seconds. And with the dove, what we're going to do is, I think if I remember correctly, it's going to be, let's put one at the beak, one at the neck, um, one at the tail, one kind of in the middle of the body, and two at the edges of the wings. And you can test it out and go, try it as you go along. That seems to work pretty well. So what we're going to do is just kind of have this bird flap in a cycle. So again, this is a little bit more pin. If I open up my mesh under my dove layer, go to my puppet effects, puppet pin, mesh one, deform, and I will see that my 6 pins are there. Again, I'm holding down, selecting the first one, holding down shift, and then clicking on that so they'll all open. Just a little bit easier and saves you time. And what I'm going to do with this is basically go a few frames, so maybe 10 frames. I'm using page down to advance 1 frame, page down on your keyboard. So I've got about 10 frames, and then at this point in time, I'm going to, not do that because all of these are selected. When all of the pins are selected, if you click one, the whole thing will move. So I'm going to actually deselect by clicking somewhere over here or over here. And then I'm just going to grab one of the pins using, again, I'm still on my pin tool. You have to be careful with this too. If you don't go right over it, you'll actually end up adding more pins. So 10 frames later, this bird's going to start flapping down. And if you notice how birds flap, they kind of raise their neck when they flap down, when the wings come down, and then they move their neck um, down as the wings go up. Again, this is just watching a lot of birds and referencing images for animation. So 10 frames, and then about 10 frames later, I'm just going to go more. Sometimes it gets a little bit unrealistic, but don't worry about it because as long as, it's moving fast enough, it will work pretty well. And again, in this pin number 4, nothing moved. So there's no keyframe here. So I'm going to add one just so that it has keyframes throughout, just like your walk cycle, where even if it didn't move, you wanted to add extra keyframes. So this is what's going on. And now I'm going to go 10 frames and um, well, so 10 frames later, I really want these because again, it's kind of like a walk cycle, if you will. Then 10 frames later, I'm just copying that first initial keyframe so that snaps back to the original position. This might go a little bit too slow. Let's see how it goes. Let's start right there. Yeah, that's gonna go too slow. Birds flap faster than that, so it's got to be more than 1 second. I mean, less than 1 second. Do you all see how we're getting the initial movements of the bird flapping, and now it's just a matter of grabbing my pins, holding down Alt while I take the last keyframe and just pushing it closer together. That thing, this movement should really actually happen in like half a second. So I'm going from 7 seconds on my timeline to 12 frames. That should give me a pretty decent movement. Yeah. So again, it's kind of quirky, but this is basically what you're expected to do with the um, flapping of the bird, and again, you can do some fine tuning. I'm gonna make the tail go up, up some more. Okay, and then see how that looks. Once you get something you like, it's just a matter of copying. And again, I'm copying these because this frame is the same as this. So I'm just copying these 4 frames and I'm gonna paste them here. Do the same thing for this. Oops. The first, not the first one, because that first one is the same as this one. So if you do that, you're gonna get like a pause in the motion, and it'll look odd. So I'm copying those, and then it's just a matter of copying more of your keyframes so that you have this cycle. Now, there's better ways to do this. You can figure it out. One of the best ways to do this is to what we did earlier, where you take this clip, as much of it, and turn it into a turn it into I forgot what it's called, pre-composed composition. Basically, turn it into its own composition and repeat it, or you can duplicate this and move it further so that you have this. For this purposes, I think you should just do it all in one timeline. The reason for that is because what I want to see in the animation is basically after this fades out, you want the dove to kind of fly through the screen. So now that we have just the flapping motion, what we're going to do is now animate the position. So under transform, we got the position. So at the beginning of our time, and at this point, don't forget, once you're done with the puppet pin stuff, go back to your move tool. So the beginning of my position of the bird should be here. Maybe I'll also deal with the rotation as well. And it's just going to take like 2 seconds to just kind of fly across the screen. That's really all you're doing for the dove. It's just going to fly across the screen. I'm going to rotate this a little bit to the other side as it moves along. So the next part of the animation, after your fingers cross and uncross, you're just going to have the bird fly across the screen.